The Movie and Television Review and Classification Board wants to keep tabs on streamed content. Some lawmakers and netizens are not sold on the agency's plan. House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano believes it's tantamount to censorship. Former MTRCB chairperson, now Senator Grace Poe, says it's counterproductive, while Senate Minority Leader Franklin Drilon thinks it is impractical. Netizens also believe the agency is going way beyond its scope. For them, Netflix is neither theater nor television. As youth leader Jules Guiyang points out, the agency is called MTRCB, not MTNRCB. But what if officials get the go signal? This Twitter user believes videos on other sites like YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram will be regulated as well. Let's find out the legal implications of the MTRCB's proposal. Joining us tonight is media lawyer Enrique Dela Cruz. Attorney, thank you so much for joining us. You heard the various opinions of personality. So in your view, does MTRCB have the power to regulate international streaming services?
Rico, currently, as the law is set, the MTRCB has no authority. Its mandate is limited to movies and television. When its charter was granted by President Marcos way back in the 1970s, the online or over-the-top platforms or internet streaming services have not yet come to fruition. So it cannot be interpreted to be included in its mandate when at the time the power was granted, such services were not even available at that time.
So, Attorney, before we continue our discussion, let's listen in to the MTRCB legal chief. And this is what he had to say about regulating streaming services.
Ang motion picture content, Mr. Chair, is defined in MTRCB law. It's a series of pictures projected on the screen, whether with color, black and white, with sound or silent, regardless of the mechanism or regardless of the medium. So in other words, Mr. Chair, if a particular material contains a motion picture, even if it is distributed electronically or sa kagaya ng pinag-uusapan through the internet, that is a motion picture within the jurisdiction of MTRCB.
So, Attorney, doesn't he make a valid point that streaming services should also be given either parental guidance or non-parental guidance ratings?
Rico, that's a misconception of what online streaming means. You cannot just extract movies and television shows from the internet and regulate it separately from the medium. It's just like saying you have online newspapers. So is it covered by print media regulation? You have Skype and Messenger or IRC, voice over internet protocol. These are telecommunications. So should this now be covered by the NTC? You have advertising on the internet. Should this now be covered by our ads regulators? So the medium itself cannot be regulated by the MTRCB because it is outside of its mandate. So for example, if they give a rating to a show, a TV program, or a series on Netflix, will Netflix comply with whatever regulations MTRCB would impose? How can they filter the source if the source is not inside the Philippines?
That's why one of their proposals is also to tax Netflix and other streaming services. So by doing that, that brings their jurisdiction here into the Philippines.
Again, that's a misconception by the MTRCB. You cannot tax a self-viewing system. When you say self-viewing, people who have gadgets can view this at their home. And there is no way, it's not feasible for MTRCB to monitor how many people are viewing a particular show at any given time. The model used by different countries is not filtering the source since they cannot control the source, or taxing the users since they cannot identify the users at any given time. The model adopted by many countries is limiting access or denying access. So if you find that, if you think that Netflix is airing movies or shows that are not suited for our audience, you can limit the access by targeting the service providers, the internet service providers, or denying access altogether if they're violating our laws. That's the only regulation that they can use, and that is not within the mandate of the MTRCB.
So those are just basically a couple of the remedies that you are proposing going forward. But on the other hand, Attorney, could this also be a cloak used by the MTRCB to gain extra powers to start censoring online content not covered by legislative franchises?
That is also a possibility. But even if they wanted to, Rico, it is physically impossible. Even if they wanted to control the content, for example, of an online newspaper or a TV series appearing on Netflix, they cannot filter the source. It will come out. The only thing they can do is subsequent punishment. Possibly punish anyone who caused its publication, but not filter the source. So it's not content regulation, but prosecution. And that's with the DOJ, not with the MTRCB.
Thank you so much for your insights on this issue, Attorney Enrique Dela Cruz, a media and technology law professor at the University of Santo Tomas.